and the album's called Photograph Smile. Welcome to Midday, Julian Lennon.
I don't want to know what's going on, but I don't want to know what's right or wrong, but I don't want to know whose bed you're in, but I don't want to know just where you've been. Oh baby, you were never really good for me, but lately you're a stranger to reality. And baby, don't you know you haven't got a clue? 'Cause lately I don't know what to do, 'cause I don't want to know what's going on, but I don't want to know what's right or wrong, but I don't want to know whose bed you're in, but I don't want to know just where you've been. Oh baby, you said you're changing for the better now. Just maybe you're not as strong as you thought somehow. And baby, you know you're heading down a one-way track. And baby, I won't bring you back. When you said you were looking for a better way, but you just keep coming back to a place you could never seem to get away, that will always hold you back, 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 back. Daddy's girl, but lately you're trying to fight against the whole wide world. Just maybe you found a love that you can hold on to. And baby, I pray for you, 'cause I don't want to know what's going on, and I don't want to know what's right or wrong, but I don't want to know whose bed you're in, and I don't want to know just where you've been, 'cause I don't want to know what's going on, but I don't want to know what's right or wrong, and I don't want to know whose bed you're in, and I don't want to know just where you've been. Oh baby, oh baby.
Welcome back to Midday. Now, we've just been listening to Julian Lennon performing his new single. It's called I Don't Want to Know. It's from the new album. There it is on your screen, called Photograph Smile. How catchy is that song? Please welcome to Midday, Julian Lennon. They love you.
I like it here.
That's pretty easy to take, isn't it?
That's great. It's great. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And didn't you love the song?
Thank you.
And Julian, I really do mean it's a great song. It's a catchy song. I was interested on the single here to read. This is what you've written. This is probably the song that a lot of Beatles fans have been waiting for me to do. Did you feel as if you finally relented?
Well, after it was a last-minute decision to put this on the album. And it was only after I sort of felt that I'd proved my own worth to myself as a writer, my self-worth, that I decided to delve into that. And there'd been so many occasions when I'd been asked to cover Beatles songs, and I said, I'm not going to do that, because how am I supposed to forge a path forwards if you want me to replace someone else, which is not going to happen. And so I decided just to, more of sort of tongue-in-cheek, to do my own mid-60s Beatlesque version of something similar to what they would do, and just wait for the reaction, basically. It was a bit of fun. It's
really come out of your own self-confidence and self-esteem and self-worth of your own
very much so, very much so.
But even the production values, like, you know, the tambourine and the background, that whole feel.
Yeah. Well, with the whole album, the idea was to do it as naturally as possible, as raw as possible, as honest as possible, and as truthful as possible. So, in fact, a lot of the production was actually miking techniques and using the natural spaces we were in rather than digital effects as such. So it's all natural, all natural sounds, which is what they did way back when, which is what sounded great,
Of course. But and the video, of course, 1998, you've got to have the video.
Yes.
And you've used Beatles lookalikes all the way through. This is
yes, the Butlers.
We're just having a look at this.
Well, they're not exactly lookalikes.
Well,
I wouldn't quite say that.
But I mean, you're sending yourself up.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Abbey Road.
Well, yeah.
Abbey Road.
No, I thought it was necessary just to get the point across. That, I just see. One of the great things is that the Beatles in the early days, their whole thing was having fun and taking the mickey out of each other and everybody else, and although they took the work seriously, the rest of it was all fun to them. And I think people sometimes hold sort of icons a little too preciously, and this was just saying, as much as George or any one of the others would say, it was all fun. It was all having a good time and enjoying the whole process, and they're just human after all.
You said you were waiting. You did it. Felt confident enough to do it now, and waiting for the reaction. What did Paul or George or Ringo?
I don't know yet.
Oh, you don't know?
No, I haven't been in touch since I've released. I've been running around doing the promo tour all over the world, basically. So I haven't touched base with them yet, but I'm sure I will do at Christmas. So.
What do you think Paul and George would say about the video?
I definitely know that George would get a kick out of it, because he was well into all of that. He was well into Monty Python and, set up a film company to do a lot of stuff like that,
There is no escaping your heritage.
Sure.
You are your father's son. You look like your father. You sound like your father. But how difficult a process has it been for Julian Lennon to get there at, you're 35 now, to actually arrive at yourself?
It's been a tough road, It's, I think one of the biggest problems I had was being so shy in the past. And the only way I could express myself was through music. And so in the past I couldn't say no or yes to things that I did or didn't want to do. In relationship to, talking about Dad or talking about the Beatles, etc., etc. And it's only over the past couple of years, really, that I've sort of resolved all the demons that I felt I had, not only on a personal level, but professional level too, to find some semblance of contentment and peace and happiness. And it's basically living to the fullest and working as best that I can work, and writing as good as I can write, and just.
Why do you think you were so shy? Obviously, some people are just born shy. But do you think other issues were involved with your shyness?
Well, I think part of it, especially, was my mum Cynthia used to travel so much. Move a lot when I was growing up. So I'd be at new schools every other year, and being introduced on the first day of school at assembly every year as, as John Lennon's son from the Beatles, and the whole school turning round, and that was the first day at school. It was a nightmare, and then trying to break out of that and trying to find friends after that you could trust. It was very, very difficult.
Were there any advantages to that? Did you live the life of a Beatles son?
No.
Were there any advantages?
Well, how could I? How could Mum and I when he walked out the door when I was 4 years old? I mean, he went his separate way with all his material belongings and all his money, and Mum and I were left. It's as simple as that. It was not a happy, pretty story at all.
Very hurt by that, obviously.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Is that something with your brother Sean now that you can share? Can you help him deal with being a Lennon?
Yeah, I have a good relationship with Sean. It's a little distant. He lives in America, I live in Europe, and I do occasionally get to see him, and it's always very emotional when I do, because I love him to death. I used to babysit him.
Were you ever tempted as a babysitter with another stepbrother who was getting more attention than you to
No. I mean, obviously it was hurtful, but...
Did you blame him?
Who, Sean?
Sean?
No, not at all. Sean is in the middle, he's a sort of pawn in the middle of the whole situation. So I have just great love and respect for him, But I've, advised him as best as I can with what he's going to face and what he has been facing with the release of his new album, and what he's got to deal with over the next couple of years if he wants to finally be respected as an artist, as a musician, as a singer-songwriter, in whatever endeavours, as much as anybody else, but a little more, obviously. Not only does he have, the comparisons between our dad, but also with me also now. But, I try and make it as easy for him as possible, show him the ropes a little bit.
That's a very kindly and very brotherly attitude to have.
Well, after being, talked about, rumoured about, pointed at for so many years, I know what that feels like, and I would not wish that upon anybody. So I have the greatest amount of respect for people. That's just the way I live life, I don't wish harm or hurt or judgment upon anybody. It's not a pleasant thing. It's not a nice thing to live with.
Terrific attitude. We'll come back. We're going to take a break now, if you don't mind, but you've
Sure.
kindly agreed to stay with us for a longer chat. So I guess a lot of those feelings maybe we can talk about that you've pursued in your new album.
Yeah, sure.
Well, as I mentioned, Julian's staying with us. We'll be back in just a moment with a lot more from Julian Lennon. Welcome back to Midday, and my special guest today is Julian Lennon. Welcome again, Julian. Julian, as we went to break, our illustrious band leader and the boys, Jeff Harvey, Julian.
Thank you very
Can
much.
I just ask you, if your father left when you were 4, where did you get your musical training?
By listening to music. I play purely by ear. I had one piano lesson when I was about 11.
Same with me.
And and hit the wrong note and got whacked on the hand with a ruler. And I said, this is no way to learn music, so I taught myself.
That's good. I wonder what would have happened if you'd been living quite seriously with your father, how he would have influenced you.
No idea. No, obviously, there were occasions when, the few times that I did see him, that he sat down and taught me a couple of chords, the basics, but that was about it, really.
Anyway, welcome. It's lovely to have you.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, carry on, Kerry.
I was fascinated, Jeff. I love that. And I was going to say, you played Hey Jude to break, which, of course, 31 years ago, was written for you. Is that still... a very personal song for you?
Well, it is in the sense that, you've got to figure that Paul, being one of Dad's best friends at that time, looking at his best friend's marriage breaking up with a kid in the middle of it, and, figuring out how this kid's going to survive, with what was going on then. I mean, that's very special. I mean, having a song written about anybody is special anyway, but under the circumstances, it was more than special, and it was more... affects me more listening to it these days than back then, because I do feel like a survivor,
What's your favourite line from it then?
I don't know. I don't know.
But it is very special.
Yeah.
You're not a father yet, I understand.
Correct.
But as if and when you do have children, what sort of characteristics do you think would be the most important to instill in your child?
Ouch. Well, honesty, truth. Basically, I think those have to be the first and foremost on the agenda. Respect, of course, that's another one. I think those are probably three of the most important things. I mean, there's probably others too, yeah, but off the top of my head, you know.
You look forward to that time?
And love, of course.
Do you look forward to that time?
I do. I very much look forward to that time. I mean, I was involved in a relationship several years ago that, and there was a child involved from the other relationship. And, you know, I played father for a couple of months, and I enjoyed the experience more than most things in life. I truly did. And so that's why it truly upsets me to hear that any parent would leave a kid stranded one way or the other, you know. It shocks me.
Let's go back to 1984. You had terrific success in 84 with Too Late for Goodbyes, but you disappeared out for a little while, 7 years. How disillusioned with the business were you?
Well, no, I mean, what happened was I had a great deal of support with the first album. And after that fact, after doing the tour, the first tour I did, I was hoping to come off the tour and relax a little bit, then start writing again for the next album. Unfortunately, with the kind of people I was working with, it was not, they didn't have a vested interest in the artistic and musical side and the creative side of what I was doing, and they didn't care. So basically, because I was contractually obligated, I had to literally, after the tour, go straight into the studio again and write the songs in the studio. And that's not the way I'd worked before, and it was a very, very pressured situation. And due to that fact, I didn't feel that I came up with any reasonable work. And there was a couple of songs on a couple of albums, you know, like Saltwater and several others. But I never felt that I had a whole album that I was completely satisfied with, that was all of me, so to speak, because there was a lot of influence from the people, the labels, people in the major labels and the managers and even producers to a certain degree. And so I just had enough, and after the broken promises and lack of support, I said, that's it. I'm out of here.
Did you get ripped off?
Yes, absolutely.
But one would have imagined, Julian, that you would have access to the best advice. How does someone in your position get ripped off?
Yeah, but I wasn't, was I? I wasn't around the business when I grew up, you know, not really. So, and it seems that everybody under the sun, even to this day, still gets ripped off right, left and centre. You know, there's always something hidden somewhere. I mean, I always say, look at the small print, you have to, you know. But fortunately, you know, I got out of the contracts and started writing naturally again, for me, because I consider it an art form and a craft, and put a collection of songs together, and then went in and recorded over 2 albums worth, and started an independent company. And put the cover together, design the cover, put the packaging, the videos.
You really control the entire product?
Absolutely. I mean, this is where the sort of balance has come into play now, is because I have found a balance. Music, the industry before was 100% of my time. Music now is very important, has its place, but there are other things in life that are just as important, if not more important, you know. So, but it's a different setup, and finally being in control of my life, not only on a personal level but on a professional level too, is exhilarating and freeing and wonderful.
Well, what about Sean? I know he's produced an album. Do you think with Sean and Yoko's ambition and her money, will he be a success?
Well, that I think, as with me, people have watched me over the years. I think at the end of the day, you know, the only thing that really counts is he a good songwriter? Has he got talent? I think he has.
You don't think she can manufacture that?
Oh, no, I don't think she can manufacture it, because I've, you know, during this whole promo tour, which has started since spring this year, I've watched how she's manipulated the situation. And,
how?
Well, there was circumstances where, for a fact, I know that there was written letters to the head of certain magazines that I was going to be featured in, that Sean should be seen as the sun that shines and Jules should not be. I mean, this is factual stuff that I have, you know, just things like that.
What sort of person is she?
Well, obviously, she does want Sean to be seen as the succeeding son, you know, which is so childish and so, you know, the approach is, I find, ridiculous. And the insecurity level, I mean, she's got everything. What more does she want? And obviously, she wants Sean to... It's only going to hurt Sean in the long run, which is what annoys me more than anything. You know, he's stuck in... He's being used as a pawn in this.
Has she ever given you anything personal of John's?
There might have been, in the past, one or two little things, but... I mean, there was one guitar that I was after that I thought was beautiful, but she said, obviously, there's two of you now. I can't split it in half, so it'll stay here. So that was that, you know.
You did battle her at one stage for part of John's estate.
Yeah.
She sounds like an awesome woman to take on.
Well, I don't know about that. You know, she can afford the best lawyers in the world, and of course, if you're going to challenge that situation, you know, especially in a court in America, you're stuck in court for years and years and years, 10 years if not more, and I certainly can't fund that, you know. And who knows at the end of the day what the judge's decision would have been. So the only option I had was to settle and do the best deal I could, you know.
And you shared that with your mother?
Yeah, absolutely. I make sure she's absolutely okay and fine and happy. And
what did you buy your mum?
First and foremost, I bought her a house. And secondly, a car, and it was her birthday recently, and the only thing I could think which would give her total freedom was to go anywhere, wherever she wanted, whenever, with whoever she wanted, for the rest of her life. That was my gift.
Got a good son, hasn't she? So in terms of the songs on the new album, the personal aspect of it, what is it that you want people to know and understand?
Well, I don't know. I just think, you know, music especially is definitely, with the style that I write, is definitely for reflecting upon life. I think to a degree that some of the work provokes thought. And, I mean, there was, you know, when I was either going through happy times or bad times, you know, there'd be other artists that I would listen to get me through those times. And I think that's what it does for people. It soothes their soul, you know. And it's also, I mean, with the photograph, and why it's called Photograph Smile is because, you know, it's about times and places and experiences we all have in our lives. You know, when you first fall in love for the first time or out of love for the first time, there's something musically that you generally listen to. And the same with photographs. And especially having the old photograph of me at 4 or 5 years old, you know, it was a timestamp, this album, for me, to show not only to myself but to others where I had come from, and I'm still here and I'm still surviving, you know. And that was very important for me to make that statement for myself more than anything, really.
It has really, really been a pleasure having a chat to you this afternoon.
Thank you very much.
I'm so glad that you could give us some time. I want to tell everybody, by the way, you're playing live in Sydney and Melbourne. There's some dates. We'll give you a second to glance at those. 26th at the Metro in Sydney, onto the Mercury Lounge in Melbourne. People will love it. I love that. And I also love the video clip, I've got to say. That is such a good clip, such a good song. And the album is called Photograph Smile, and we do thank, indeed, Julian Lennon. Thank you very much.